What's up, Dio?
What's going on, man? What are you doing back there?
I was just finishing up my workout when you called me.
Oh man, dude, you're busting out pull-ups. What are you on, like 69 right now?
Yeah, when I went to VCon, I was 12 pounds of muscle heavier, or I mean, I was a little bit fatter, but you know, cut down some fat and put on some muscle. So now I'm ripping pull-ups. Like I do about 100 pull-ups a day. It's just it's easy.
Love it, dude. Getting those lats to pop out.
Exactly. I'm excited to start this interview.
Yeah, man. Working in reverse. I love it. Let's roll with it, man. But yeah, thanks for joining me. We have an awesome show planned and can't wait to get started. Welcome to Beyond the Den. Joining us today, we have a player who's no stranger to stirring things up, Mr. RASMR. Known for his sharp insights and even sharper words in Discord, RASMR has become a notable voice in our community. Often found at the heart of the debate, he challenges norms and sparks discussions that many shy away from. Today, he's here to share not just his thoughts, but how he plans to help shape the future of Wolf Game on the Farmhands Council. RASMR, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction. I wouldn't change a single phrase or word. That was amazing. Perfectly done.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. So for those that, I mean, many of the community members obviously know you, right? Can you give us a little bit of like a 30-second elevator of why you're running for the Farmhands Council?
Running for the Farmhand Council because I genuinely believe that I'm a necessary voice for speaking up for the community, speaking up for holders, and making
Mm-hmm.
sure that what the people actually want gets conveyed strongly and that the team is actually following Shep's original vision. And I feel like that's always what I push for.
Sure. Yeah, very interesting. And when you talk about Shep's original vision, like what speaks, and jumps out at you with that vision?
Shep's original vision in my mind is making a game designed for crypto natives. It's the typical degeneracy of crypto, which is trading, finding arbitrage, um, trolling people, building society, community, memes, and kind of like taking the best parts of what makes crypto actually fun and putting
Mm-hmm.
into a game. I and many other people, we joined NFTs in 2021, which is when the NFT space blew up in the first place. And despite myself making money, losing money, whatever it was, I found the game of trading NFTs, of finding the next big thing, of making the next smart play. I found that game to be super fun. And so
Mm-hmm.
if somebody could take that aspect of fun and create an economic game out of that, I feel like there's a huge product market fit for that. And I also believe that it's gonna happen. Someone's gonna make a game that follows Shep's original vision one way or another, and either it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be us or it's gonna be someone else. And I'm gonna be playing it no matter what.
Yeah.
Whenever the person comes around who does it right, I'm gonna be a part of it because I'm gonna see it and I'm gonna know what it is as soon as I see it. And that's just what I want Wolf Game to be. I want to make sure that the person who actually creates this amazing, beautiful concept is the person who is doing it with wool because I own so much wool. I have like a direct incentive to make sure that we get it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very well said. So tracing your Wolf Game journey, what was the hook that pulled you in originally? So were in on Mint, right?
I actually, so I bought, I was there day two. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually end up minting any. I bought on secondary and I staked it, but we know what happened with that.
Yeah.
What got me hooked was the original white paper. I actually was an economics student at the time at University of Southern California, and we
Okay.
were just learning about a bunch of interesting game theory things. It just happened that it just happened to be that time for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
found Wolf Game, and I was like, this is literally the coolest social experiment I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It immediately captivated me. And actually, it was like 11 p.m. when I discovered Wolf Game. I
Yeah.
joined VC. There was like 70 people in there. Um, some of them probably were OGs, but I was just asking questions and actually was spam calling Pi. I was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And he woke up. I explained it to him and I was like, this is going to be insane. Like you have to buy a sheep. And
Yeah,
he got, I think, 2 sheep or something. And the rest is history. Like I stuck with it all throughout.
sure.
Whether it's like after the pouchment, after the exploit, there was this time even before Alpha Game where it was a little bit quieter, but
Mm-hmm.
we had Beanie showing up to spaces and spilling Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Alpha Game rollout. Wool hits 55 cents, and I've just been here every step of the way. I know what this is,
Sure. Yeah.
and so
Yeah, it
yeah,
seems like you really love the social end of it, the social experiment, right? And kind of bringing like the fun and the intensity and excitement back into Wolf Game that many grew accustomed to, and it has been stagnant, right? And we talk about that a lot. So it seems like that's really kind of in your wheelhouse. And so you went to USC. That's a probably an amazing time, I could imagine. um,
well, I was distracted with Discord all the time, you know.
sure, yeah,
No,
yeah.
it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So did you end up graduating? Like where like what do you do now for work and like yeah, what is like some of your background on that?
Yeah, so I'm I'm just an entrepreneur by nature, to be honest. I'm not somebody that likes like playing a sort of corporate kind of like game,
Yeah.
or I'm not somebody that likes like, it's like I'm working and it's cool, but I have ideas and I want to like see them um, for myself and I want to see how they do. And it's like just not being able to have a real hand and say in how things are working on turn out. It just is something that isn't for me in my mind. So
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I actually have worked in media marketing before. Um, I worked at VaynerMedia, which was a great time. I met some amazing people, some extremely talented creatives. That was a 3 month program that I did. And then from there, I started working in music marketing. And now me and my best friend are building a company in music. So
Cool.
I don't want to get too in
Very
detail
interesting.
because I do kind of like keeping it a little bit of a mystery, because like RASMR, it's like I got to keep up the mystique a little bit. So I don't want to get too detailed, but we're building
Sure.
a company in music entertainment and video production, essentially.
Very cool. So let's talk about that mystery, right? I mean, so who is RASMR? Like, what does he stand for? What's maybe some misconceptions that you might have about you or people might have about you?
I think the biggest misconception is that I think people think I think there's a bit of a generational gap. I personally see RASMR as a character that I created. And yeah, it might embody some of the most flagrant aspects of my internal brain. But the reality is like I can hang in a chill environment. I can go to church. I can be normal. I can go to Thanksgiving dinner and like be like the most peaceful person ever. I'm not the guy that brings up, controversial topics at Thanksgiving dinner. I'm really just like a normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally empathize with people who are like, we don't know if we should have him on the council because they literally just don't know. Like it does make sense because it's like if you don't know who's behind the screen, then
Sure.
why would you trust Rasmer? It really I didn't make the character to be a trustworthy person. I didn't make it to be I don't try to come off as a serious person. I
Mm-hmm.
just try to have fun. And the reality of this like new kind of frontier of the internet, which is crypto, is there's um there's a lot of like memes. Like the meme actually is one of the most important factors in why something blows up. It's like if you think about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, that really was just a meme. It's like, oh, these JPEGs of monkeys and these people think they're rich, and like that's kind of like when I think of the Bored Ape, I think of like people who are trying to look cool and trying to look rich with these like JPEGs, right? When you think about Bitcoin, it's like Bitcoin's the greatest meme in crypto history, right? It's like the story of Satoshi
Mm-hmm.
and there's only 21 million, the halvening. It's like it's engineered in such a way where the idea can spread. And I'm a culture guy. I'm a meme guy. I'm an entertainment vibes guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Wolfgame, like, you know, I think we've had great picks in the FHC, but I just think the FHC needs someone like me who is like really, really focused on making it a meme, making it an idea that spreads,
Mm-hmm.
making it something, making it something with an interesting story behind it. I think like you think about the original story of Wolfgame, which is this anonymous dev, and um, he's a genius, and he thought of all
Mm-hmm.
these amazing ideas, and he tried to make a game. And the reality is, I don't think that story holds up anymore. I think that like the idea that Shep's a genius was pretty disproven in recent months. And like, listen, I don't think I'm a genius. I think being a genius is a rare thing. I'm not gonna like specifically hate on someone for being a genius, but I don't think that that's a story that can keep the community engaged any longer. I think the story of like, you know, Shep left, and this community is like believes in the vision so much that we took it into our own hands. I think that's the future kind of mythos that we need to be telling ourselves, is like guys like me, guys like Steezy, guys like Big Tig and Cast and you and Pity and you know, it's like these are the people that almost decide like Wolfgame's not dying and we're taking matters into our own hands. And with the
Mm-hmm.
help of PV, I think we can make it happen.
Yeah, very powerful for sure. So even though Shep, right, he started this amazing thing, and then also, you know, with the merge of PV coming in and him putting out that gif of how he's not fucking leaving, right? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think like do you just look at that and be like he's gone, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because it's something that I don't really want to blow up in the Discord, because certain things it's like it's almost better to be DMing uh, the team in a private server in the FHC, or in the DMs in the like on the side. But I
Yeah.
really do think like there should be some kind of conscious reimagining of the Wolf game story. Um, and I think like people don't really want to hear that Shep's still around anymore. It's not something that like gets people excited.
Hmm.
It kept people engaged for so long. It was so great um, to believe in it. But when I look around and I see what people are saying in chat, I just don't think people buy into it anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have ideas on like what can be done on the gift side, what can be done on the tweet side, what can be done on the marketing side of things. It's just not something I want to be like saying openly in Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, like the team is super receptive. Actually, I think one of the reasons this election was done in the manner that it was is because guys like me and other people in Discord were really like distracting chat into negative areas. And so that to me is like what like my philosophy is like, and I've said this in Discord, but people were like, RASMR needs to stop being so negative. He's ruining chat. And I'm just like, I don't determine what's in chat. The team determines what people are saying about their project. That's my philosophy. So when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
the marketing, I think like it needs to just come from the top. It needs to be super visionary. It needs to be super like inspired. But I think it's like possible 100% to make a dope kind of vibe and aura again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well said. I think, you know, looking at too the community and, you know, having an intense character can be a good thing. There's pros and cons to everything, right? And it's all perception at that point. I think that, you know, there's construction in a lot of different things, and it's always good to hear other people's point of views, right? It's like not always going to be freaking sun and flowers and all that stuff. And in order sometimes to get the ball rolling in the right direction, it takes some intensity. So, you know, I could appreciate that end for sure. What about like handling crisis, right? So if I think that, you know, looking at RASMR as a character and as the intensity, I know you had mentioned that you could, you know, kind of like that's not really who you are. It's in a sense, it's like a character, right? But like if a crisis does happen, say there's a freaking exploit or bug in some sort of upgrade or update that they did, and everybody's going berserk, like how would you control that? And because obviously that takes leadership in that position.
Yeah, I mean, an exploit's an exploit, like when it comes to accidental errors, when it comes to like messing up in good faith, I feel like that's never something that needs to be criticized or attacked. Um, when it comes to like my feelings towards Shep, it's like we can talk about this all day. I don't feel
Yeah.
like I don't feel like it was, the most like moral, ethical way to go about it to like spend only 50K a month when you raised 15 million. Like we can talk about it all day, right? But to think that that isn't something that we're allowed to be angry about is just it's just unfair to the holder and it's unfair to the community. I'm pretty much like I've come to like an acceptance over that. And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like certain people that I've had beef with, the reality is like I've beefed with almost everybody in Wolfgang. I've literally beefed with almost every single OG at some point. And when it comes
Mm-hmm.
down to it, when I show up to VCon at Indianapolis, we shake hands, we dap up, and no one really cares anymore.
Yeah.
So if I'm on the Farmhand Council, it becomes like a work thing for me. It becomes like a more serious kind of hobby where I actually need to like take a more disciplined approach to it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
also like I'm on the team's team now. I'm on your team. I've spoken with Bry and Richard and Term on the side. I'll probably speak with Zaw soon, but I think there's a lot of things that weren't like made clear to the holder so far to the team. Like I was in chat and I was telling Bry, do this. Like, why don't you guys do this? Why are you guys doing it that way? And he was like, I'm just an advisor. I'm not like making all the decisions myself. And that's something that like as soon as you hear that, you're like, oh, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think like the more you actually learn about like what's going on, what Pixel Vault's kind of goals are, what their mindset is, it's a lot easier to kind of like empathize and take the team's side. And I think like for me, that was probably a big um, gap or a big mistake that and that was a mistake in my thinking to not really like figure out the other side of the story.
Yeah.
But like we're good. Like I was
Yeah.
open to it, and it's like super funny because it's like I don't want to be the guy that's like soon as I have to win a vote, I'm like all of a sudden glazing, which and I'm being like the most perfect guy. That's not what I'm trying to do. The reality is like it was pretty much a coincidence. Like I bought wool the day before the FHC elections were announced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentally had a positive shift in the few days before the FHC was announced, and now I get it. Like some people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's just being chill because um, the elections were announced." And I promise that's not true. I will still be an asshole, or at least RASMR will still be an asshole here and there in chat, of course. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm like gonna be the most perfect, like robotic kind of person now if I'm on the
Sure.
FHC. That's not true. I'm just here to fight for what I believe is correct for the community and for the game. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like you talked about, learning, just lessons on life, just assuming, right? I think we're all guilty of assuming things are a way they are, when in all actuality, it's like, oh shit, maybe it's not like this, right? And putting that makes you human, and nobody's going to be robotic, right? You'd be a fool to not own up and not have flaws, right? I like your energy. I think nobody could knock that you're passionate. I think that is what the game needs, and I think that it could be very powerful, and then it's okay, how do you hone that in? How do you, because I like your ideas too, and so much, and my wife says it all the time, because I could be an intense individual, and I grew up in a fucking nutcase household, been on my own since I was 16, a fucking nut job, and no direction, no family life, nothing. And I could have easily gone down such a bad path. But I had some mentors that helped me, and they helped mold me, right? But some of the things that come in naturally is passion, right? And people can mistake it for anger, right? So I need to be, for me, it's more like my wife's like, why did you say it like that? I'm like, shit, maybe I did say it like that. Maybe they took it like it, and I used to be like, well, they fucking took it the way they did because this is, because they're weak or whatever. But like, so nobody's perfect, right? So, and then it comes down to, okay, how can we effectively, approach situations? Because again, I do love your energy, and I think you could be misunderstood, by many if they don't know who you are, right? So
I appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, those are my thoughts for sure. Going
I think
into, yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
yeah, I think another thing is like when you just look at how, I would say like my twin in Wolf Game is Wen Pussy, because we're both like the same age, and we just both have the same mentality. And like the way Gen Z interacts with the internet is way more of like a creative, loose self-expression. Um, and so like that's just self-evident if you go on TikTok and you look at TikTok comments, like we're
Yeah.
not actually that out there relative to the full spectrum of what is possible online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like I do get it to some extent that like if I'm to be taken seriously, that's not like I can't be the biggest memer and the biggest, arguer and then like ask people like, please, why are you taking me? Why are you being so mean to me? So it's just a balance that I'm trying to figure out. And
Yeah.
I just want to point out too that it's like it's not just that for me. I know you said that I have good ideas and I appreciate that. I think I've written like, if you listed like what are the 10 best Wolf Game Twitter threads of all time, I think I've probably written like 7 of them. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's just my opinion about what good writing is and what good takes are. I'm a really good writer. Like I said, majoring in economics and data analytics at one of the best schools in the country. I basically have like good ideas and good ability to evaluate situations for the game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's not like my unique angle. My unique angle is more so the culture and the memes of it. And that's really what I'd rather focus on, especially when you have guys like John, who I listened to yesterday. It's just like, yeah, I agree with almost everything he said, and he says it
Yeah.
in a really digestible way. So I'll take his word for it, back him. But I just want to be that different angle, different approach.
Sure. Okay. So if you were to get elected into the Farmhands Council, say, you're on a sports team, right? What would you say your position is and its strategic importance?
Wow. Okay, that's a fun question. That's a fun question. Um, I'm wide receiver.
Okay.
Easy.
And how come?
Um, Wide receivers are just it's like I'm not quarterback, right? But um I might, run a slant, break free, you know, get chased down the sideline, hit him with a stiff arm, and then like once I get in the end zone, I'm doing a celebration. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah. So you're wide open in the end zone too. You're screaming at the quarterback, right? Throw me the ball. I'm wide open, right? I can
Maybe,
see that.
maybe if I'm open and I don't get the ball, I might get a little upset. I might, punch the cooler or something. Who knows?
Throw out a OBJ on there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So given like a high pressure situation, can you think of anything that comes to mind that you've navigated and maybe like a takeaway?
Um, Absolutely. Uh, I mean, just like my job, essentially, if I were to describe it to you guys, is the business we start. We have like these crazy shoots with some famous people, and we have an hour to get it done, and we have all these constraints. So the most recent shoot we did was in Mexico City, um, for the F1 event. We were told, "Yo, you get this F1 driver. Um, he has 5 million followers on Instagram." And we get him in the video, but we only have an hour with him. Also, it needs to be in a hotel, and he can't do this, and this because it's a brand risk.
Hmm.
So I've like had to operate under pressure, under extreme constraints, a lot this year. Um, and not just that, I've had some extremely like challenging personal experiences, some extremely traumatic personal events in my life that like I don't want to get into. But it's like I'm just I've had like a storied life for a 23-year-old, really. I think a lot of people just assume that I'm in Discord all day, which you assume that someone's just in their basement on Discord all day if they chat as much as I do, right? That makes sense. But the reality is like I'm an active person. I do a lot of things. I'm moving to New York actually. I'm here right now. And yeah, like it's fucked up, but I'll be out looking in Discord. You know, it's
Hmm.
such a bad fucking it's such a bad distraction, but like I could be on the top of a roller coaster about to drop and I'm looking at Discord responding to people like, ugh, but I'm still doing things like
Yeah.
don't get it twisted.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure, man. What would you say a criticism that might have made you a better leader or an individual?
Um, I just am somebody that like I'm okay with making mistakes and just like butting my head into the wall and then like adjusting from there. Um, and when it comes down to it, it's like you have to just like be someone to rise to the occasion as well. Like obviously, I've been crazy and reckless in chat because I didn't expect that there would be a position for me to vie for. And then once I get it, there's something to preserve, there's something to protect, there's some kind of way you need to carry yourself. Um, I'm like a person that thinks like, you know, if you're doing a big job like president of the United States, I think like you're a different person before, and once you enter that job, it changes you. So I'm not, comparing FHC to being like the president
Sure.
or a CEO. It really isn't like that serious. But the reality is like I'm just gonna like act how I should act given that position.
Hmm.
Um, dude, if I don't win, like if I don't win FHC, then like then I'm just gonna keep being how I want to act because there's no risk at that point, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, when there's something to like preserve and you gotta keep that name, whatever
Yeah.
color name it is. Then
Sure.
you just by nature you have to act more professional. You have to act more likable. You have to really try to like empathize and speak with the community. It's just how it is.
Hmm. What will be your legacy in Wolf Game?
um, hopefully nothing. Hopefully Wolf Game gets 1 million players and nobody knows who I am.
Then you could really just be in the basement and be on
Oh
Discord at
man,
that point, right?
you better want to be in the Citadel if that's the case. I mean, geez.
Sure. Yeah. Citadel would be doing pretty good at that point. Every single one of you, for sure.
Yep.
What? Yeah. Let's speak about the Citadel a little bit. There obviously are some could be some preconceived notions of the community, right? And there's some people that are a little anxious about wool being a governance token fully. And like, can you talk a little bit about that and like how you view being a woolionaire?
Well, I think the Citadel are basically the stewards of the game. I think their role, and a lot of people aren't in it, so it's kind of like an intimidating thing. You're like, oh my God, the Citadel, the Citadel. And then you
Yeah.
join and you're like, oh, this is lit. Like the Citadel is awesome because there's just like real genuine discussion and real genuine conversations in there about game decisions, about governance, about, you know, the structure of the FHC voting and like what that means for how it'll probably play out. There's like really um honest, like straightforward kind of conversation.
Hmm.
There's like none of that extra Gen Chat flair of like clapping at people, memeing on them, like,
Yeah.
roasting each other. There's none of that. There's none of that. So I think a lot of people in Gen Chat probably think that I can't, go without, being a dick or whatever. But in the Citadel, there's never a problem with anybody. And that's
Hmm.
just how I imagine the FHC would work. It's like you're just people with a specific goal and you're moving towards that slowly but surely. And that's all really that goes down.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I can't talk about the Citadel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, yeah,
I
I
get
hope I
it.
didn't say too much. I don't even remember what I said. I hope I
Jay
didn't say
Steezy is
anything,
gonna
right?
Jay Steezy is gonna be outside your door with a shotgun.
Nah, he'll be, we DM, so if there's a problem,
Sure.
it's easy
Yeah.
DM me. I
Yeah.
apologize, but
It's all good. So as far as going into criticism, or challenges, right? So if you were to get into the FHC, how would you handle a situation with, a disagreement with another FHC guy? Would you just go at each other's throats? Like how would you handle something like that?
well, I'm gonna be honest. It depends who's in the FHC. If I'm in the 9 spot, if I'm in the 10 spot, and Freeman's in the 6 spot, in the voting, and you're like, oh, should we vote Raz? Well, it looks like Freeman's going to be in it. Maybe we shouldn't vote for Raz. It's like, I think curating who's on it and making sure that they get along is a huge thing. Um, you know, if we're going to be truthful, I think guys like Weatherman, I think guys like Cast, it's like you, Pity. The reality is the people that I'm pretty sure are going to be on it so far are people that like I can easily get along with. It won't even be a
Hmm.
question. It's like if Elias was going to be on it, then he might be trolling me too hard and then I might, go after him a little bit. But the reality is everybody who's probably going to be on FHC, there's like rarely if ever going to be major disagreement because everybody's like just giving their feedback to the team and going to have an honest, open discussion about it.
Sure. Can you talk about a collaborative success with those that you may not in Wolf Game necessarily, but there may be different viewpoints, like in how that went down?
I mean, every single day. Like I work in the creative business. Um, it's my friend, my best friend that I work with every single day. And people say like, don't do business with friends. But the reality is you can do business with anybody as long as you're aligned on the vision. And I personally think that every single person that's on the FHC is going to be aligned in trying to back up Shep's original white paper that he wrote. We're all going to have that common goal in mind. I think it's going to be easy, to be honest. And I think it's going to be a lot more chill than people think. Despite Raz potentially being on it, I think it's going to be fine.
Hmm. What are you better at than most anyone else?
I think entertainment
Okay.
and entertainment goes a long way, right? Like what keeps people engaged in Wolf Game is the Discord. Think about that. Like the reality is the Discord, the community is Wolf Game's strongest asset. And who's one of the biggest chatters in the Discord? Me. Who's starting some of the most like intense arguments where it's like you look at it, a couple of weeks ago, you look at the day, like you look at chat and it's like, oh my God, chat was so active today. Who started the conversation? RASMR. Who was like the one talking the most in the conversation? RASMR. Who was being an asshole? RASMR. Who was being a dick? Like, listen, it's a whole painting of expression. You have to like really just appreciate me trying my best. You have to appreciate the fact that like I care about people's engagement. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Wolves
Yeah.
Anonymous.
Yep.
Wolves Anonymous. You remember Wolves Anonymous?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Still don't know who it was to this day.
Right.
No, kidding. But it's like you remember Wolves Anonymous. Who's the first community they attacked? Waterworld. They attacked the one community that
That was
gets all
great.
the water, and they were
Sure.
gloating about it. And what
Yeah.
was the second community they attacked?
Was it? It was in the. Was it Community One or no? Or was
Out
it
of
your community?
all
Your
out of
community?
all the communities, there's 100 communities. They attacked my community
Yeah.
second, and
What number? What
I made
community
a
were you?
huge C68,
Oh, 68. Okay.
and I made a huge fuss about it. I was angry. I was going off in chat, and they attacked me again. But I was doing
Oof.
exactly what they wanted.
Oh
I was
yeah.
just making it fun. They attacked me, and they wanted the RASMR reaction, so I gave it to them. It's just not that serious, guys. Like seriously, it's not that serious. Small market cap altcoin. The coin is basically worth zero. And you guys are afraid of putting me on Farmhand Council because you think I'm going to be too controversial. This isn't the Google fucking board meeting. This is just fun, guys. Come on.
Hmm. Yeah. A lot of power and fun, man. I think that we're definitely missing that for sure. What do you think for
Thank you.
improvements, right? So what would you prioritize first?
I mean, that's a tough question prioritizing first because like I think me and a lot of people we just agree that like we needed rewards on the peak and we needed credits to be addressed. Because I personally think that rewards on the peak and resources as the entry fee on the peak, I think that just would have been a lot better of a system than the energy to credits fiasco that we've been faced with.
Hmm.
Um, when it comes to like what the most immediate need is like rewards. But we've spoken with Richard, we've spoken to Goose, and they just don't want to do it that way. And so like if they're super like set on that, then we can't, it's not even worth pushing anymore. I'm focused on like if I could just see what they have planned 3 steps ahead. The thing that I care about most is I want community games. I want something like Wolves Anonymous to be in the game.
Sure.
Like I want there to be a game where there's Wolves Anonymous and people are like branding themselves and joining up into teams, and the warfare can be done on the farm, can be done in the valley, it can be done on the peak. But where I really want the warfare and the entertainment and the game to be played is Discord. I want social games. That's the number one thing that I want.
Hmm.
Something like Alpha Game, but everybody's playing.
Yeah. Re-engagement, right? For sure. What do you see as the role of the Farmhands Council?
I think the rule is pretty. I mean, I guess like what people said is Farmhand Council is the House of Representatives, and Term and Bry are the Senate, and then Goose is like the president. Which not everyone listening to this is American, so I should probably explain that. But I think we're just gonna like propose ideas and debate them and look at what the team is building and give feedback on it. It's really that simple.
Hmm.
Um, and when it comes to Term and Bry, I think I've spoken to them on the side, and it like they are genuine. Like I know that they are genuine in advocating for what the team wants best, and I think the Farmhand Council is almost a way for the community. We get a small percentage of the community that represents everybody's perspectives, and we get to be a part of that process. I think it's a super great idea.
Yeah. Love that. What would you say right now in the current state? I know we talked about past with the white paper or the wallpaper and the lore and how amazing it was, right? Shep's original vision. What would you say is going right currently?
I think I think the community. I think the community, honestly. I think it's hard to answer what's going right in the valley currently because I think the valley was going awesome up until about March, and then it kind of waned away. And then I personally believe that the peak update basically destroyed the valley. I think credits have been a disaster for the game. I think credits have been a disaster for the average holder. Um, look at what Weatherman has said about the recent changes. If you don't believe me, when it comes to what's going on, right, is just the collection of people that we have that are aligned in the same vision, in the same direction. That's something that can be pretty unstoppable if that energy is channeled correctly. So the community are people I believe in. And actually, I believe in the community more than I believe in Wolf Game itself because Wolf Game doesn't work out if Shep's vision just doesn't work and it goes to zero. Um, I will still be a part of the community. I will still be in the Citadel. Maybe the Citadel could be like an alpha group for other projects, or who knows what could happen. I'm not leaving the community.
Yeah.
The community is like forever at this point. It's such a great thing in crypto to have people that you know and you like
Yeah.
to sort of like enter that next bull market. There's nothing better, dude. Like imagine if a bull market was starting next year, how great shape we would all be because we have each other. It's amazing. And the amount of money that would probably be made in that instance would be unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I there's nothing like it, especially in the NFT space. People talk about that how they have communities, but it's weird. It's, we we end up getting dragged in. Like, I'm not a big Discord guy, but every now and then I'll get dragged into it, and then, I'll leave and I'll come back in, but I'm more about like, holy shit, like how can I do my part, and how can I provide value for the community, and like get people's words out, and like do all that. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to go down this road and try to capitalize on that. But you're right. I mean, you talk about relationships and just friendships made, and it's nobody understands it that's outside of Wolf Game. My wife is
I
like,
know,
what the
right?
fuck? My wife knows I'm nuts, first off, but she's also like, this is crazy, So I'm like, hey,
Or
listen,
it's
I got
like,
2 podcasts I got to shoot. Both my kids are upstairs screaming. I'm like, you got to keep them quiet. And she's like, are you kidding me? It's a madhouse. So,
yeah,
but yeah,
it's
man.
something special, and I don't even like everybody says our community is the best. Our community is the best. People don't get it, and it's like I actually think ours is the best. Or if it's not, it's top 10 in all of crypto. Like we really do have one of the premier alpha groups in all of crypto, and I think that that's super dope.
Sure. Dude, awesome, man. What are there other things that you would want to add? Like, how do you want to leave our voters? What are some thoughts on your head? Like, how would you want to end this?
Um, I think they know what to do. I think if they listen to this, like, dude, the voters know who RASMR is. They listen to this, they'll know even more. I think like whatever you guys feel is best. I can't like emphasize how much I truly care about this. I really do want to be on the Farmhands Council. And I think I provide unique value that, you know, there isn't like another RASMR to me. I think it's like either you want them or you don't. And I think in terms of the other nine, I know if I'm on it, we're going to get along great, and it's going to be the perfect 10 you could ever ask for.
Yeah. Well said, man. It was a pleasure sitting down with you. I mean, while you're standing up, sitting down, right? But it's like, getting to know people more. And I think it's important that everybody does this, right? And that's putting the face behind the PFP, right? And like knowing that like whatever your preconceived notions of somebody is, it's not always true, and getting to hear their side of things. So I do believe that you have a very strong case in this, and I would urge the voters, really. I mean, we have some awesome candidates that are coming out of the woodwork now, which is really cool. Exciting to run through 11:59 Tuesday night. I'm going to try to get in as many spaces as I can, or unlock spaces so people can get on this platform and push it. But, kudos to you for stepping outside your comfort zone, jumping on this, and, making your case be known. I think it's important.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. What is up? It is Digital Optimist here. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Den. Quick favor to ask, hit that subscribe button. When you hit that subscribe button, that's going to allow me to attract top-tier guests to provide you with the most value possible. Give me a follow over on X at Digital Optimist.